malware, that's the most important trend. Okay, it depends what industry we're talking about. If we're talking about the banking industry, I would definitely say the Trojans, like Zeus, like SpyEye, and like Citadel. We're going to hear more about the Citadel Trojan. It's going to be very relevant to the banking industry. The Trojans are being used more and more often by different fraudsters, now being used by less savvy fraudsters, whereas before they used to be the kind of territory of the people that were more technically advanced. Now Trojans are being sold in different models with a lot of support and with a lot of technical knowledge coming from the developers to the people that didn't know how to use them. So now we're seeing a lot of growth in that area. It's very difficult to measure it because these things happen underground and we can't always measure how many people are using Trojan.
How would you comment the statistic that say that 30% of Zeus computers are the corporate ones?
I absolutely believe that's true because Zeus is very widely spread and people are using emails within corporations. A lot of times they do hit a Zeus email. For example, I'll give you a Zeus campaign that was spreading this Trojan to companies through to the secretaries a lot and showing them like they got a courier from FedEx, from DHL, from something that they're going to want to open and look at. A lot of times it's sending like fake orders for people to think that it's a mistake in opening. Or IRS, like tax statements. The minute they click on the statement or on the file that's attached, they're downloading the Zeus Trojans. A lot of this has been happening within enterprises, so it's definitely a statistic I could believe.
How to detect such a Trojan on the company computer?
The only way to detect Trojans, first of all, we always have to have an up-to-date antivirus. This is one layer of protection. Antivirus does not always detect Trojans because Trojans morph very often. That means that they change the signature. Every time the fraudster sees that the Trojan is being detected by antivirus, it changes the signature in order to keep evading the security. So antivirus today detects up to 33% of variants. We need to always have a dynamic system going on to prevent our computers within the infrastructure that we work on from communicating with the Trojan drop zone. This is where we lose the information to. How we do that is actually, I can tell you of an RSA product that reports IPs that are connected with Trojans, drop zones, not only IPs but domains, malicious hosts, etc. This is one of the ways to deal with this.
How to monitor the threats?
How to monitor threats? You have to have some sort of service, like a hosted service that's monitoring different attacks for you, that are shutting down the attacks for you, whether it be phishing attacks. Big companies, for example, I know because I work for RSA, we get feeds from different providers. We have partners, we have other companies that monitor the net, that do crawling, that have insight into spam, so we're able to collaborate. This has to be a collaborative effort because not one company can look into everything that's happening on the World Wide Web.
What kind of business is the most common target?
The most common targets right now is still the financial industry. The industries that come after that, the corporations that have this sort of intellectual property that the fraudster would be interested in. And of course, each fraudster is interested in a different industry. We cannot point right now to which one is getting targeted.
What do you suggest will be the next generation of malware?
The next generation of malware, we're looking still at Trojans. I think that I was saying in my presentation that Trojans now have plugins that allow them to be more pervasive, more intrusive, get more information from the person, and take over the computer. They have a lot more insight into what the user is doing and where the user is doing it. So we're seeing the remote access Trojans in action. They have that plugin. I think this is definitely a part of what's going on. If we're looking at the Citadel Trojan, which is the newest one, and it has the VNC Fox, a very robust Trojan with remote access control, this is what we're going to see both in APTs and in Trojan attacks. I would say that when we're talking about companies, we're talking about advanced persistent threats. I mean, we're seeing even military entities getting attacked. We're seeing very robust companies that have robust IT security still getting attacked and compromised. And that's because when we're saying advanced persistent threat, that means the person behind that, the entity behind the attacks is very persistent. And until they get their goal, they don't let go of it. If we're looking at hacktivists, we see another way of this persistence where if they want to get an entity to have problems with the network, get it down, get down there, deface their website, etc., they end up doing it. They're very persistent.
We can say that after any part of malware there is a human intelligence that is controlling that. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. There's human intelligence behind malware because the malware is only the tool. It's like having a weapon. You have to have somebody holding that weapon, and that person has to have a goal, the end goal. I was seeing another company from Checkpoint was explaining that there's going to be a Trojan that's after many different people, but there is an APT and it's after one person. There's always a human factor behind things, and when we're looking at attacks using remote access, there's a person there accessing with the remote access tool the computer of the other person.